Welcome to Inside Missions, a production of Maranatha Volunteers International, offering an in-depth look at the people, the cultures, and the countries where Maranatha is working. I'm Dustin Comm, and today we have our first ever panel of guests. We have 3 of our volunteer support staff stationed around the world that ensure that our volunteer projects are successful. And we're gonna go behind the scenes on what it's like to pull off a Maranatha mission trip. So first we have Maria Molleda from Peru. Maria, how many years have you been working for Maranatha?
Hi, first of all, and then for about 21 years.
21 years.
Yes.
Next to me here is Alice Danla from India. How long have you been with Maranatha?
I've completed 12 years, and this is my 13th year.
Very good. And Kotesh Rao, who is originally from India, but you've been in Kenya for the past 6 or 7?
7 years.
7 years. How long have you been working for Maranatha?
I'll be completing 20 years by end of this year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure working for Maranatha.
So we were adding it up, over 50 years of experience between the 3 of you here in leading, supporting the volunteer projects that Maranatha does around the world. So this is going to be an exciting conversation to be able to go inside the minds of the people that help put these projects on. When you guys are looking at a project that Maranatha puts on, what is your primary goal for it? What do you want the volunteers to experience, Alice?
The first and foremost, I think, is their safety. We want them to be safe, and also we don't want them to get sick. So our priority is like the sanitation, and then also the hygiene part, and then transportation. I mean, we try to get the best mode of transportation. Maybe even if it's a bus, it should be an air-conditioned or something. The best that we could give and that the country has. That is, so hygiene is one of the most important thing, and of course, no shortage of water.
I was going to say, that's a staple of a Maranatha mission trip.
Yes.
People arrive and there's water there.
Yeah, in context to what Alice has said, yeah, safety is the top priority, and food and water. We always, like my boss, former boss Ron Kedas and present boss Anu, we always get into the hotel kitchen to check how clean they maintain the kitchen, and we literally show them how to wash the vegetables, soak them in the liquid for some time, and then wash it thoroughly and air dry them, and then how they are supposed to cut the vegetables and how they are supposed to store them in the refrigerator. We look into all those minute details so that nobody gets sick. We don't want any volunteer to come that far and then get sick, and that is it. There's no fun in that. They can't experience what they wanted to experience. Safety and food, the top priority in the list.
In case of Peru, beside the safety, some projects that we are having in the high altitudes, we have to be thinking about to have a doctor.
I've experienced that, yeah.
Have a doctor, and this doctor has to have, oxygen and an extra tanks of oxygen. We usually rent, and then and I also ask the buses over there. We use tourism buses on the arrival day only, because those buses has to have oxygen in the bus. So we are pretty sure. I mean, we have to make sure that everything will be ready for them to arrive. Of course, not everybody got sick, but at least we are
You're ready.
Yes, we are ready.
And on our project that we were with you on a couple years ago, we were monitoring, we had the little monitors, pulse ox, I think, monitors on our fingers to see what our blood oxygen level was. So you guys were all over it.
Yeah, in regard to the hygiene, at least I can talk for India. We have a chef. Maranatha has a chef, so whenever our volunteers come in, even though we go and inspect in the hotel, we still take our chef who has been working for us in India for more than 20 years. So in that regard, we don't have any issues so far. And since we have our own chef, whether it's in any hotel or it is in the site, we take them along with us.
Yeah, even in Kenya, we hired one chef who happened to work in the US for a long time. And then we train him first, and again to tell him what we really wanted. So he makes sure that the kitchen is maintained well, cleanliness, and make sure that the hotel, they don't serve the food from the previous night. All those, then he keeps updating us and keeps checking the hotel and make sure that the food is served on time. Because if the food is not on time and enough quantity, then again you're disturbed with the program for that day. You go late and then everything will be affected.
See, this is the level of detail that probably a lot of people don't think about. Have you guys ever had a project that went off without any problems? There was nothing that came up that you had. There's always something, right?
There's always something.
There is always
always
something. But we go forward with prayer. We pray a lot in the office every day with all our team members every day in the morning, and then we have a prayer book that we believe in so much. We write everything, even the minute request to the most serious thing in the prayer book, and all those things have been answered. We pray for a successful project, and at the end of the project, we gather in the office and then we thank God for all those mercies, especially with traveling for long distances and also on those bumpy roads so that the vehicle doesn't break down.
That's right. Yeah. So we get tense. Our mind is sometimes we just seem to be walking, but then our mind is constantly working. It's in the process. Okay, the group has left there. What is happening there? We call up. We might not show up at the job site, but here we have somebody to contact, and then we call up. Okay, is everything okay? Is the water okay? Is the water okay? And then is anybody getting hurt? Is anybody getting sick? We look at the sky to see if it is really hot, if it is somebody getting dehydrated or something, we are always on the. So right after that, again, for the dinner, you again, at the same time, you call up the chef and then you ask, okay, what is it? How is it going on? Will the food be ready on time? These are the things we do at the back. And then also it could be their laundry, or is anybody getting sick? There are so many things that we might be looking just sitting there, but our mind is constantly working, thinking, what's the food? How is the travel? Is the fuel there? Is somebody out there not feeling well? It's the whole thing, especially if we have 3 things going on in VBS. Is there somebody to translate? If the translator is okay, if it is not, if the medical is going on, how many people are there? Is it enough? Is there
supplies?
Everything, so it's we sit in one place, we just keep moving but then they don't get to see us unless it is urgent that we have to go. And sometimes we assign ourselves okay, I will go to the medical site, you go to the construction, and so then, but constant communication is going on between us, among us who are helping us, and then, at the site, and also with the leader. Always.
Yeah, exactly. That happens especially when you are at a new project site, a new hotel, new pastors, new teachers, new school administrators. You in the beginning, you have to be on your foot and checking all the details ahead of time. The moment you get into the bus after the work day, then I call the office, or my colleagues, Emmanuel and Sam. They make sure they call the hotel to make sure the dinner is served on time. And if the conference hall is ready with chairs and tables for the worship, and if the other conference hall ready for the VBS and medical team to arrange the stuff.
It's truly a 24-hour-a-day job when you're on a project like that. So I'm curious, how much sleep do you guys get on a mission trip with Maranatha?
We will not be able to tell the specific time, but we sure know that we get up the earliest and we go to bed the late.
What do you do whenever all the volunteers have gone to sleep and you have a chance to it's quiet and you're working on things? What are you doing?
Sometimes we have to, if we have some other groups, we have to start working with the emails.
That are coming in the future.
Yes, coming in the future, because they are expecting for our answer. So it's a time for us to start, sending the answers to another email for a different groups. But during the day, as my coworker says, we are all day long just checking, and if everything is going on okay.
Yeah, exactly what Maria said. Yeah, while running a project, you have another group that is preparing to come soon. Sometimes you have overlap 1 or 2 days. And and then you answer those emails and queries. Sometimes you have to wait until the next morning to call somebody to get some answers, some information, and then write back to the group leader. And then usually every night when the volunteers are back to their bed, we meet as a team. Every team member brings their questions, their doubts, or some information they need. If certain things are confirmed for the group to go somewhere, whereas we wait for some time. Okay, I say, okay, I haven't got any confirmation yet from the group leader if we're going to do this. And then the team member says, no, we need to hurry up because we don't have much time. We need to block this many number of slots for that activity, or we need to inform the bus so that they are ready with fuel and all that. So we team meet before we go to sleep and then discuss what next day's program is and who is supposed to be where, what he is supposed to be doing. Yeah, and if there is any problem that took place during the course of the day, we try to look for solutions and what need to be done the next day so that it is sorted out so that the volunteer is happy.
Sometimes we put more interest in the groups that are coming for the first time. It's different than the groups that they usually travel with a mission trip. So they are like news in everything. So we are trying to support, to be more with them. Sometimes they have not only, as Alice says, construction, and they have VBS, they have medical outreach, and sometimes they have evangelism meetings. And we have to move them, no? We have to be thinking about they are coming back, they have to have the supper, and by the same time the transportation to take to the evangelism meetings. And then they are also doing some movements inside the group. Today they could be helping in the medical team. The next day they are with the BBS. The next, and sometimes the transportation, we have some problems because the transportation company switched the drivers. Oh no, because we teach the driver where is the location and everything, and then when they switch the driver, the other driver, the new one, sometimes get lost. Oh my, they call us, Maria, where is the bus? Oh, the bus already left from the hotel. Where is the bus? Did I call the company? And the bus is, we have to meet the bus and leave them over there. Yeah. That sometimes happens. So it's challenges that we really enjoyed. I mean, working because we are inactive by the same time, no? In mind, active in doing many things. And it's, I mean, for me, especially, I really enjoy.
It seems like you all must enjoy solving problems because that is something that you're doing constantly on these projects. I mean, it's what would you say is your most important tool that you have as a volunteer support person? What do you use a lot to help solve problems? We
go with prayer. Yeah, we always pray for the groups that are coming. And
yes.
Then we do all this work in all these groups prayerfully. And we want all the volunteers to be happy, satisfied, and going back home. So that, and they bring again new friends when they come back.
Yes.
That is because they liked it. They enjoy working in mission trips. And that's how they end up calling their friends or families, and then they say, oh, we want to come back. And that gives you a lot of satisfaction when you work for the group, and then, that is what we look forward. When the volunteer says, oh, we want to come back. And you've had volunteers that have returned year after year, and you've gotten to know them really well. Yes, like they somehow, like every year they make sure they come to Kenya. Like Loretta, I don't remember any year that she hasn't come, except even during the COVID, her project was the last one before we could shut down in the country with volunteer groups. And Greg Hatch is one. Wherever there is a new country that is opened up, he is there, but also make sure that he comes to Kenya regularly. Yeah. He'll be there next month. Oh, yeah. We're recording this September 2024. Yep.
Yeah, the tool that I use for me mainly is patience. That is something I pray that I will have patience, because we do not know, what that person is going through. Especially like when we say like, okay, we'll go to bed after the volunteers go to bed. And so we go around and see if there is anyone hanging out And sometimes we don't want to intrude into their personal, things. So at times we just smile. And then if we find that there is something not really, that doesn't look very good on that person, maybe he or she is going through something, then that is an instant, in a spur of a moment, you try to pray and just say, Lord, I think this person needs help or something. I may not be the right person to do that, but if it's so, let me just go and talk. So sometimes say, hi, how are you? Is everything okay? And then sometimes we get to, what they go through, and sometimes we pray together, and then we have times and situations like that as well. So patience is most that I ask for, because I'm not a person who I don't have patience in anything, actually, but I would say that is what I pray for the most, to have patience when we are working for volunteers, be it for hotels, be it for excursion, be it for travel, for anything. That is the thing that I use the most, which I ask the Lord to give me.
Well, it's interesting. You need patience for a lot of situations that come up on a project. There's also times where there's a barrier that's put in your way, and someone says, no, you can't take the group here, or you're held up for some reason. And sometimes it seems like when someone tells you no, you have to find a way to navigate around it. How have you guys learned how to do that? Because sometimes there's some situations where it's like, well, what are we going to do here? They're telling us that we can't go here, or we can't do this or that, and you have to find a way.
When we do the planning, when we know that there is a project coming up, we always have plan B. Mm-hmm. It's plan A first, and then we have an option, plan B. And then if this doesn't work, at the most, what can we do? So we also make sure that we let the group leader know that these are the options we have. Okay, suppose they don't want to go here, and there is some other group who wants to go there, and so it all comes under the planning. So when we plan well, and when we give them the options, it works. And at the same time, like sometimes when plan A doesn't work, we go to plan B, and then all of a sudden we have to change. So at that point of time, I think God does really give us some kind of wisdom or strength to immediately switch to something, and it always works so far. But initially, we always have, I'm sure Kotesh or even Maria and the other colleagues, we usually have plan A, plan B, and to support us back, so that we don't keep the volunteers in trouble, or because we want them to have the best experience. If it is not A, then definitely B or C. So we have that.
Yeah, in that context, when you choose to go for plan B, our team members come forward. Like you are in a different place and then you need some help in Nairobi. Then that's where the other team members who are in Nairobi come forward. Okay, I need this help. Can we do this? And usually I approach Jackson, who is in charge of logistics. Then he has all the information. Like if there is a race in certain route that we are going to travel, then he tells us, hey guys, on this day, I think you're going to come back from Masai Mara, and some of them have to catch the flight in the evening. So you better leave early. That's the warning he gives us. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, then I call him again, hey Jackson, we have a change of plan. Can we do like this? Then he's there. Okay, I can be there ready for them to receive here. From that end, you send them and then let me know the timing. Then I'll be here to take care of it. That's how the other team members who are not directly involved in the groups all through the project, they help us in going forward.
It's a team effort.
Yes, it's completely a team effort.
It's interesting hearing you talk about those quiet moments, maybe when you notice a volunteer is, down, or maybe they're really excited and you get a chance to interact with them and talk to them. I think a lot of people think of the spiritual aspect of a project being led by maybe the spiritual coordinator, the pastor on that project. How do you view your role as being able to guide the spiritual aspect of a project in some of those different small ways that maybe people don't realize?
Sometimes, the volunteers, of course, all the groups has a worship time, the spiritual time, even in the mornings or in the evenings. But then when we are sharing together the days of project, sometimes they got familiar, or we see someone that is so shy or a little sad, and how are you doing? Is everything okay? Like Ali says, yes, and where are you coming from? And by the same time, we start working with the volunteers. Sometimes we lay blogs, no? How are you doing? Talking, and then sometimes the volunteer gets open, no? Oh, I'm coming from this place and this and this, and then we share situations and we try to share what in our sentence says, no? We try to build people. We try to get close to them, not only to share our lives. We also talk about the context of where is the project, why we are doing this, and we are so grateful for this person to come, to volunteer, to come here to help, because you are not helping only to lay blocks. This is a house of God, and we are living for the eternity. We don't know for whom. Maybe right now we see those church members, but in the future are going to be another people, the community around. That is why working with this volunteer, we explain a little bit about the benefit of the BBS to reach the community, and we usually do the BBS around the project so we could show the children that place that you see many foreign people working is going to be a church. Same as we are playing here, you could come to play over there every Sabbath in the morning. So we are just helping in some way, no? Same with the medical team. We present to the community, the church, doing this outreach. So we as project support, we are trying to find out the best place around the project. So for us to present the project to the community. So the neighbors, we are praying with them. If there is no translator, we are there, not doing the pray station. We are praying with them or trying to share whatever the groups brought, or we bow there like a bag of food, no? We put sometimes beans, rice, and oil, and then after a prayer, we gave them to the family. So it's something that not only we are reaching the community or building the people, our volunteers, putting in touch with the community, we as a project support also, every time that we have a group, we feel not that the God is there. We feel it's amazing, because before the project we are like so worried about many details. Oh, maybe that transportation, everything is in our mind. But after the project, when they left, no? Oh, everything is past, no? And we didn't have any big circumstances. So thank you, God. Because, they went back to their homes. And sometimes they texted us, we are already in US. Oh, praise God. No, it's something.
Yeah, really, when volunteers come around, when you start working with them, there's a bond that is created between us and the group and with many volunteers.
The volunteers love you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you do take all that time to really get to know them.
Yeah, they do ask us, hey, have you eaten yet? Oh. Please come, sit with me and eat. Let's go eat. Oh. And they ask about our families, and we ask them about their families, and they share with us all the family things, and then, the problems that they face, or the milestone their kid is about to cross, like a graduation ceremony or finishing high school. They share with us about their family and what the family members do, and that bond, makes you look for that volunteer again to come back to your country. And also, when we sit for the worship, sometimes we miss the worship, but it's always interesting to sit in the worship in the evening especially. Mm-hmm. A lot of volunteers share their experiences, yes, and share the problem that they're going through, and also ask us what problems we are in, like about the family they ask. And then there are times where they called me to the front and they prayed for me. Yeah, that really, strengthens our faith and belief in God, and then gives it energizes us to continue work hard for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In context to what Kotesh was talking about, like the team getting together to get the work done. It is also very important for us to have good contacts. If we're working for a particular school or a hospital, like we go around and talk to them. And then we also I would say, I'm sure you guys do that. And that's what I usually do. I make sure that I have the contacts of every person from the principal to the, to maybe the gatekeeper even, so that, if I don't get a principal, I get a headmaster or somebody or the other. So having a lot of contacts and knowing people, making friends for a longer period, and also letting them know, hey, I need your help. And maybe I'm going to give you a call. I might not give a call, but you never know what comes up because, with volunteers. So it's always like, I might call you for this, and for that. So, and at that point, if we pre-inform them, and then you call up and say, yes. And so the work is done. You just give a call and then it's done. Then sometimes you don't get to talk to them or maybe the doctor or nurses or anybody. So in our field, to me, the kind of work we do, nobody is great, nobody is small. Everyone is all the same because the help that they give is very valuable. So our team members and then also the concerned conferences or the section or, the churches, the pastors, the leaders, whoever, they have been amazingly helpful. And, when we have all these contacts everywhere, it does helps us a lot in getting the work done.
Yeah, I always believe in what Alice has said. If you are meeting a person on your way, that means there's something.
Yes.
Yes. If I meet a person and talk to him, I try to take his contact number and save it in such a way that if I type the group name, it appears. Yeah. Or if I type, the school site name.
Exactly.
Or his position. So when I save, it'll be a long name. So whatever, you tend to forget some things when you met him and all that. So one of the things
works at the store on the corner that's next to the pharmacy.
Pizza place or many things.
Yeah, you never know when you need him.
Yeah,
and, that's really helpful.
Yeah. Also, when it comes to the spiritual context, I don't say I'm a pastor because I'm not, and I'm not a person to guide somebody spiritually or give them a Bible study or stuff, but then it's the little things we do. I guess it's just say hi, hello, and I think we are able to identify if somebody is not in a real, they might be smiling, but at some point you see them, the facial expression is something is different. So then sometimes we just say hi, hello, and then we share our, we just go up front and then just talk to them and then say hi, hello, how are you doing? This is the problem. Sometimes not the major problems that I have that I share, but, the little thing, if that person could, open up so that, we can share together. And it has happened in 2 incidents where one of the volunteers had some, I'm not going to share that, but we had that. And so later on, it was a little thing, but when she went back home, she said, just the talk we had lightened her burden. And then she came back again, and then later on we became friends. So
well, it's interesting. We just finished our convention. Again, we're recording this September 2024, and we heard wonderful testimonies from a few of our volunteers. But that happens on almost every project, it seems, where there's a volunteer that has an experience, a life-changing experience. Maybe they're connecting with God in a new way, and you guys get to witness that. And it's just an amazing front row seat that you have to some of that transformation. Can you think of any particular stories of volunteers that had a transformational experience on a mission trip?
I saw in Ultimate Workout, we have been part of some Ultimate Workouts, but mostly it's true what Maranatha is trying to do with this kind of projects of youth people. I saw many teenagers that came, for example, 15 years ago, and they came being not teenagers that were very quiet. No, they were very, active. And then after coming two or in three projects, then they came back after so many years, but they came as a nurses, as a doctors, and they are doing now the work as they were helping before. So not only Ultimate Workout could transform the life of the volunteers that are coming as a part of the group, it also transformed for example, what I saw is the translators' life. I saw them studying in the university, the first grades, when we started helping as a translators. When they started helping as a translators, now most of them are like nurses, doctors, and it's pastors, no? Because even my son, no? So he was helping on his 14 years, trying to help the doctors with the translation. Now he's a physical therapy because he saw now on the medical team that there are so many needs. And when he decided to study, he was thinking, how can I help to the old people not to have pain? No, because he saw many arthritis or many, pain on the old people, the elders. So he studied that, and it's true, Dustin. We really change not only the future, talking about the career, but also the spirit. When we saw in a family projects, summer family project, Christmas family project, or Ultimate Workout, the families are coming with their children. These children grows, and the first thing that they do is trying to come back to the project with their families. And these guys learn, see the needs, and also they have been touched in their hearts. And when we have those sentences that we change, we build people, we really do. We really do, in my perspective. No?
Yeah, when it comes to spiritual enrichment, we hear the stories, as Dustin, you have said, you are the direct witness to their stories and their experience when it comes to the spiritual enrichment and all that. There are so many stories that we hear, and then sometimes we feel, oh, we are really fortunate.
Amen.
We are really lucky that we are like this. Sometimes when they share their stories, like the very frequent group leader that comes to Kenya, Loretta, we share really a good friendship with her, and then we are very free. Hey, talk like friends, in fact. And then her story, when you hear it, it's really amazing how she's leading the groups now.
Yes.
I don't remember the term for that sickness or whatever that made her not able to walk for some months. When you read her emails, at the end it says, I'm a walking miracle. When she was trying to recover from her sickness, whatever that was, she was asking her husband, can I go on mission trip? Not the husband. She was asking to the doctor, I believe, can I go on mission trips? See, that's the kind of energy or eagerness they have to participate in the mission projects. And there is one volunteer who was brought by an Adventist on a mission trip to India long back. He was a drug addict. He takes methane or something, some meth, a drug called meth, something which was very powerful, I believe. And he was changed after that mission trip, and then he's a new person altogether. And there is one volunteer, faithful volunteer to Maranatha. He's 91 or 92 years. When I was talking to him, he said, I wish I can bring my son on these volunteer projects. I somehow feel that he is going away from our church. I really want to bring him. Then I said, don't worry, Pastor, we'll pray about it. Then the very next project, he was able to bring his 52-year-old son on a mission project. And he was so happy to see his son working in the construction site, very active, and then participating in all the activities. And he was really satisfied. I mean, he was successful in bringing his son back into the faith. And now I see him, after that I saw him in another project, and now at the convention I was able to see him with both father and son coming together, and that made me so happy and made me think about, there are many stories like that. There is one volunteer who had a head-on collision while traveling in her car. The truck was coming from up the hill down, and then she was trying to go up the hill, and then she had a head-on collision, and then all the bones were broken, like some bones were crushed, and she was airlifted and then taken to the hospital. And
You
then,
mean in Kenya?
No, in her own country, in the US.
Okay.
Then she wanted to come on a mission trip, and then she did, and she didn't stop since then. She went to India, she came to Kenya, she went to Zambia. And and there is one volunteer who lost his wife with cancer, and then he was really depressed after coming to Kenya. Then I saw him in Zambia also, and he keeps coming. That's the kind of, I think, transformation they get once they participate in this mission trips. They're altogether changed. They have that new happiness in their heart, and they share those experiences with all of us, all the other groups, and then it's so, inspiring to listen to those stories and their experiences.
Yeah, I would say not in detail, but like a kind of expression that I heard, one in Zambia and one in India. So the first, I would say, I'll talk about that India. She came and she said, India was never on my list. So I asked her why. So, no, India, no. So I asked her, what brought you then? And she said, I thought maybe after that I'll go for a Taj and then, go for excursion, go to what they call Ranthambore to see the tiger. So that was my intention, to come. So it was one of her cousins who brought her. So then she said, oh man, this is not the India that I know. I'm coming back again, so, and she came and she keeps coming. And then the other person that is in Zambia when she came. This is not the Africa that people talk about. She felt quite at home. When I say quite at home, not like that that is like America, but then she felt comfortable coming there. She saw the need of the people, and she said, I'm coming back again. And I don't know the reason what has really intrigued them to come again and again, but the first perception they have about India or Zambia, I'm sure maybe even Kenya, but then when they come there and see the difference, I'm sure it's not just a place, but I guess it is the work that Maranatha is doing that is really giving them the impression, a good impression, so to say, that they are coming back again. And also, at one point of time, they look at the building and they asked me, said, is this what Maranatha really does? I said, yes, this is all over wherever Maranatha works. So they look at the building and they say, wow, this is a nice structure. This is a nice quality of, cement. There's a nice quality of bricks. Oh, I guess it is worth that we send our funds to, fund this, because when they see the real things, the the materials that we are using, and then also the kind of service that we are using, they feel that it is worth to give the funds for them. That's what I experienced, and when they spoke to me. So I think it is really important for us also to let them know the materials we use and where the funding goes and how we use them. And, it could be through us, we can also, when they see that, it is really important that they, it impresses them.
There's nothing like experiencing the mission field firsthand with your own two eyes. And I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of people that are just, their minds are blown. They can't believe what they're seeing. They're having a transformation throughout the whole project. You mentioned it earlier, excuse me, kind of seeing the volunteers experience how inspired they are, and does it inspire you all at all to see their energy and their passion? What have you learned from volunteers?
Oh, yes. In fact, like all the volunteers that come on a mission trip, like they are not hesitant to work in any place, like they work in the mud. I'm sure now when I see the US, it's not, I mean, when you compare the place they work on a mission trip and the life that they experience here, it's like there's a big line of difference. I mean, they leave the comfort zone and work, and then, you know, even the kids, they try to lift the blocks and carry it. I mean, different works, and some people try to, you know, make holes in the blocks, and then some people sieve the sand, and there's so much we learn from them. I mean, I feel like I should go on a mission trip myself and work like them. Yeah, many times I felt that same thing. Oh my goodness, how they can work like this in the hot sun. The way they work, I
You
mean,
guys
it's
are
really
working
amazing.
the entire project. You guys are putting a lot of work in throughout the project.
No,
It's
but they
different
work
kind
in
of-
the mud, yeah.
No, but you can go as a volunteer, but don't forget that you have to do the logistics. And
I'm
It's
curious.
really amazing how they, I mean, work in those construction sites all through the day without a break. Only lunch break, that too, maybe maximum half an hour they take a break, and then they're up there again. Nobody have to call them to come again and work. Even the ultimate workout kids, when they come, they all like work like anything in the mud, and then, you know, they don't hesitate. Hey, how can I work in there? You don't see that attitude with any volunteer. They're ready to, you know, rumble.
I'm curious. Oh, good.
oh no, it's fine.
And that made me, like, I join the construction crew sometimes when I get time. I mean, to join them and then lay the blocks sometimes.
Still, while your mind's thinking about other things, probably
Yeah, exactly.
planning it out. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's amazing how they, you know, I think to make a mission trip, they are not coming from one day to the other. I mean, they make the decision a year in advance, maybe, because they have to save money in case of the teenagers or in case of the family, because they already made the plans to come the next year to go to some place. So they are already planned. So for me, they inspired me because they made ahead a decision to serve, no, a decision to trust in God and do it something to improve or to grow his faith. Or they are thinking about the family, the kids, and they are not going only on vacations because they want to help. When I see them coming, and sometimes I see older people coming, more than 70, 80 years, to lay blocks. Oh, it's amazing for me. And I said, how this person came from far away to work here in, you know, doing this hard work. Oh, it's amazing. And besides that is because they are coming to build a church. It's a different feeling. After that, of course, they will enjoy with some excursion days. But for me, as Kotesh says, I want to, of course, living with them, we experience, but it's different. Maybe for us to go in a mission trip, no? Let's go with a family. Let's take our family because it's an example. It's inspiration for us because we want to keep our kids, you know, in the same spiritual level. Yes.
You all are very experienced with leading these projects. I want you to go back to your first year that you were helping support Maranatha projects. Mm-hmm. What is something that you used to worry about when you were inexperienced, when you first were learning about supporting these mission trips, that you don't worry about anymore?
Well, in my case, I was worried about maybe they will understand or not, if I will talk the English very well. That was the first. And the second is what kind of food they will really want for us to help them to prepare, or where can I find a cook? No? Of course, I learned from Amilcar, was in the time, the person that was doing the this work, no? Support. And then I learned from him, but by the same time, he has had many other groups. And he left me with one, and my first group was the Carmichael group over there in Cusco. And I was like, okay. And he sent me the refrigerator and everything, and he said, how can I make a kitchen? I don't think we'll work here outside in a yard. Oh, okay, maybe they will need something else. And I was asking the leader, which was Pastor Steve Case. And I said, okay, Pastor, what else do you need? What else do you need? Because it was our first time, no? And of course, the project support person was telling me, is everything okay? Did you already pick up the refrigerator? Yes, I did. I put everything, but who is going to cook? I was many questioning. So the transportation, the lodging, and everything were settled, but by the third time, I was just nervous, very nervous.
Well, it's a lot
if
of
everything
things.
will go okay or not, or
You guys are used to it now, but there's so many details. When you first start, I'm sure that's overwhelming.
Yeah, in the beginning when I started working with Maranatha, like I came as a student volunteer from college. Ron Kedas and Anu gave me that privilege. Then I met Vinish after coming to the field. And you have no idea how these groups work and how things are arranged. And I was really blank. Then in the morning, before the volunteers could come for the breakfast, we used to have a team meeting. No matter what time you sleep in the night, we used to have 6:30 or 7 o'clock team meeting, and you're not supposed to be a minute late. And that's the place they used to instruct us. And right after that team meeting, again we used to meet some people who have experience in that, and then say, hey, how do you do this? How do you go about this? Whom do you contact to get this done? And that's a way we started learning things. And then, until that we meet that person whom you're supposed to meet on the way to show us the direction, your heart beats. So, okay, where is that point I'm supposed to look for and pick up the pastor to show that village? Or where is the point we need to stop for the pee break? And those are the things, like you're always watching for to where to stop and with whom to pick up, and all that. It really, but at the same time, the work was very interesting to work with the volunteers, and I was kind of like my accent was a problem, for the volunteers to understand. Sometimes, mostly nodding off my head used to be a big problem. I think even now the volunteers say, what is that? You're nodding your head. So is it yes or no? So, yeah, in the beginning it was really challenging, but at the same time interesting. And yeah, that's how we learned. And I always have a notepad in my pocket to write it down, all the details and, and things to do, so that you don't forget anything. And then yeah, so
Yeah, initially I worked with Kotesh, and so till he left for Zambia. Sorry, not Zambia, Kenya. Sorry. So till he left, and so we worked together. So like we were working hand in hand, and I learned a lot from him as well. But I will not say that I have overcome, or that there is something that I'm not worried about till date, because every group is different. We get different people. We have different characters. If it is 50 people, it is 50 characters. If it is 20, depending on the group. So the first day till the group arrives, and then they are settled, and then till the second day, it's like, we're always like, okay, is this happening? Is there any change going to be? Or, then after the second day, then once we are a little settled, then, I think so for me, every group is always different. So
absolutely. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Once you get settled in,
then only,
yes.
Every group is different. Every group leader is different. They have got different styles of working, but
so
they make you comfortable, and then they always give you time. To discuss with them, and
especially when they don't come along with their luggage. That is another
issue.
Yeah.
You're saying you have to make return trips to the airport sometimes, huh?
Oh yeah, that is uncertain. Like constant calls to the airlines, and then going to the airports. I've experienced that with Karen. We had we had that. And of course, we had once or twice, but not a major one. But yeah, we did have. Karen has been calling the airlines constantly. She was a group leader, and so on and off. Of course, nobody saw us what we were doing, but she was constantly calling and emailing and, getting the things. And so it was, when...
Yeah.
You mentioned the group size. I was curious, you would think a larger group is more challenging, but what is it that's more challenging about it, having to lead a larger group? Because sometimes Maranatha projects, you might be over 100 people, right? I mean, it could be a really big project.
I think coordination between us and the leader is very important. Constant communication is always very important. And when the group leader, sends us the information or the need that they want or require from us, the information, so that constant communication between us and the group leader and also our vice president Lisandro. So we are always in constant connection, communication. So that is very important for us. Regarding the number of the groups, sometimes when we say, oh, it's just 20 or it's just 30, it's not going to be difficult. But at times, when the group is just 12, that is, sometimes it is more complicated than the 60 or the 70 groups that comes. So we can never say that this is, just because a number is big, that it is going to be difficult, or the number is small and it's going to be easy. But we have faced, I would say I have faced like smaller groups sometimes are more complicated because we just sit around the table and then, when different opinion comes and like you're stuck in the middle and then,
We should do this. No, we should do this. Yeah.
Yeah, the bigger groups are quite interesting.
It is.
It keeps you busy, which we really like because after working for Maranatha, you feel like you should be busy always. And when the groups are not around, you feel bored, especially during the COVID. We have no groups because of the situation that is around the world. And it made us really bored without the groups.
There's probably some times where you are working literally 24 hours a day for weeks or months, and then there's some down periods. So it's definitely on and off. And something. But a lot of times you're getting ready for different groups.
Right.
I'm curious, if you could think back over all the groups that you've led, is there one in particular that was challenging for a specific reason more than the others? I know there was probably challenges during COVID and after that, just with all the restrictions in place. But could be any time. Any come to mind?
I can't say one group. Most of the groups, I can't really forget those groups, the experiences that we had, the friendship that you made, and the life-changing movements that you had. Like the very first group I worked with in Maranatha when I was a student was a Duluth Church from Minnesota. A group of, I think, 65 people came working on the construction and also medical clinic. And I happened to work with the dentist in the medical clinic, and then Dr. Hong, he is from South Korea. And Bill was, I don't remember his complete name, but Bill, he and his sister came. That was my very first group. And then after that, all the evangelistic crusades we had, especially Bruce Farley. Mr. Bruce Farley used to bring with his father and his wife and kids sometimes. Every year, I think at least twice, he used to bring big groups. And those evangelistic meetings, those crusades, the groups that we had during those time, it was fantastic. We always think about those groups, the times we had. The work was hard, very hard. We used to come back because each group were given 2-3 cars with 10 people in each group, and you have a girl interpreter and yourself to lead that group, take them to the villages during the day for VBS, and also to distribute the Desire of Ages books, house to house, wherever you meet any people. And we literally went into some non-Christian villages and had all the people sit under a tree, and then we preached. I mean, we used to translate for the group leader or the pastors about Jesus. literally in a non-Christian village under the public meeting place.
Wow.
And we also remember like Rod Serenchal. We happened to gather the people at a Hindu temple, right at the Hindu temple. I mean, preach, tell about Jesus. And I was seriously translating, and then, I mean, nobody said anything, but later on I realized, oh, this is the place we sat and then talked about Jesus, preached about Jesus.
So you've never had a project that you were just like, at the end of it, you were like, I'm glad that's over. You didn't ever have a really hard project like that?
I don't remember those such feelings, but then, oh, we were able to do it well.
What about you guys? Have there been any like particularly challenging?
In case of me, I have had experience. Was not so challenging, but was like we have been moving so much. It came to Mexico Sage Group. They did so many things by the same time, but the impact was that everybody were looking at seniors, working, and they decided to paint one church over there in Mexico that has so tall, the very huge building. It was an Adventist building, but that belongs to the native people that live around. So we have had VBS, in 2 or 3 different places. No, then we have the painting crew, we have the building, and at nights we have had the evangelism meetings, and we chose that church. And what caught me the attention was before the group brought pastors to preach in the evangelism meetings. By the same time, we do health topic at the beginning, and then the evangelism. So we have to think about many things, but then they came to this specific project with 4 teenagers that they have to preach every night. No, so when I saw 2 of them went to a different place and 2 of them went to a different place, and these guys came to this big church where the native people, Mexican language speaking is not Spanish, was something. So then in my mind I said, I don't think that people will come or they won't trust because of that teenager, no? But I said, we prayed. I said, please, Lord, maybe the people should have to come for the evangelism meeting. Sometimes you got frustrated when there is nobody, isn't there? So we work with the local pastor, so they came. So it was a week of prayer. So the first night, it was like medium. So people came, but not many. Day by day, many. By Friday night, the church was so full. And I was so impressed because these kids, they have been probably preparing all the preaches. So a long time ago, they were ready to go. But the Holy Spirit was there. And I saw that church was so full. By the same time, we have to run to the other place, to see how is the things are going on and the painting. And we paint like not only one church, like 4 or 5 churches, and then the construction and then the VBS. So Sage works a lot when they have a medium-sized group. Probably 50, 60 volunteers, no? So that was one of the groups that impacted me, and always they went to Ecuador too, but with almost the same size of group, and we did so many things, no? And the VBS, they brought a lot of people, and we did outside, like he says. No, we did close to the job site, but it was just an open area, and we sat down and on the floor, and of course we put some tarps for the kids to sit, and then those were experiences that I saw, not only youth, adults, young adults, seniors.
And Sage is a ministry of the Washington State Conference. I can't remember what it is. Seniors in Action for God in Excellence, something like that.
Yes,
so.
yes.
First time when Sage came to India, they were actually delayed for 3 days because of the heavy snowfall. Yeah.
Oh.
And then the hotel said they can't cancel any rooms. We ended up paying the hotel for all those 3 days, and then that's another story. But when they came, they said, okay, Bob Grady was already talking about the dedication of the church, whereas I was doubting how can they finish the church in 3-4 days, and seems everybody are seniors, I mean in age. Then I said, can you finish the church? You are already delayed for 3 days. Then they laughed at me. Then I was, why are they laughing? I thought. Then the very first day, the way they started working was like amazing.
They were on a mission to finish
Oh,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Like there's no relation to the work they're doing and the age.
Yeah.
And
They
they
were
finished
motivated.
the church in time, and then we were able to dedicate the church, and and the groups, like you said, Dustin, which groups, like unforgettable groups. There are many, as I said, like one among them was Maplewood Academy from Minnesota. We had a fun like anything. We used to get tired at the work site because they were all taken to work in the work site, and then it was hot. South India, like it's very hot, and then we used to work at the work site, and then in the afternoon we used to take them for lunch at a gas station, which they have some showers and good place to sit and eat. So after taking showers, like I used to feel sleepy, you sleep late hours, and then evening you have evangelistic crusades, and then I used to lie down on the bed and fall asleep. And these guys, like, they used to hide my shoes somewhere. And then the bed, like 2-3 guys used to carry that bed and shift it somewhere and keep it. And by the time I woke up, I'm in a different place altogether, and they used to watch me. And there's Ouachita Hills Academy, Rogue Valley Academy, Rio Lindo Academy. Okay, it's like,
You guys are really blessed to have come across so many different people from around the world serving on all these projects. We could go on for hours here sharing all these stories. We should probably wrap it up here. We have meetings that we're supposed to be at here. So I want to finish with each of you just telling a little bit about, after all these years of working with Maranatha and all these volunteers, what have you learned about God in your own personal spiritual journey?
There has been many times when we seem that in spite of having planned ahead of time and we know that things are going to be done, many times God has been there with us. Immediate decision, changes of plans. When we think of it, it's like, how are we going to do that? Why are they asking this? And how am I supposed to do this? You just offer a prayer and it gets done. My faith has grown more in working with the volunteers. My patience, I would say, it has increased. God has blessed me because I'm not a person who has patience in anything as I grew up. But it has taught me patience. I have seen miracles. I have seen, God doing things right then and there. And I'm grateful to God. And when you were asking about the groups which has impacted me the most, I would say every group is different, and I look at and in every group there might be some negative side, some positive side, but I try to take the negative point, the positive point, the side of in everything, and I think that keeps me going, trusting in God, moving in faith, and having more patience.
Beautiful.
In case of me, I feel like I have been blessed to work with Maranatha. I become to be Adventist because of Maranatha. And I also have all my family in the church, my son and his family, and every group that we work with give us effort spiritually. All the groups, with all the adventures that we was with them, it always bring us very close to God, because we cannot move without His direction. I truly believe that our ministry is led by God, because we are helping. He doesn't need our help to build his home, his house, but we are in this world. We are like his instruments, his hands, and we have to go with him every day, connected and walk with him.
Yeah, when it comes to me, like prayer has been really a mighty weapon while working with Maranatha. From the beginning, when we had evangelistic crusade, it used to rain, and then all the volunteers used to gather in a circle and pray, God, stop this rain so that we can preach to these people. And there are certain times the projectors or the computers don't work when we have to screen Jesus movie or show the health slides. And we all used to pray, I mean the volunteer group, and I used to be among them, like, because as a leader, coordinator of that group. And the moment you pray and then there is no rain. And those kind of small things really made me realize that there is power in prayer. And even now, like, there are situations you end up like you're stuck in the traffic and the group will be arriving soon. And then there's literally I prayed, God, let the flight arrive a little late, few minutes late. Yeah, literally.
Yes,
because when the volunteers come all the way from the US to that place and they need to see a familiar face or somebody with a placard, signboard, receiving them. If not, they'll be again, a new country, Africa especially. And there are a lot of things that I prayed and then God really answered. Then that made me like, pray more. And the other, prayer has really helped me. And so many times I can't really tell all those experiences. It could be small, but it has a big impact in my life. And then whenever somebody says like, hey, I'm in this situation, I'm in this problem, I always tell them, hey, please pray about it. God can really answer. And the most important thing, other thing I've learned working in Maranatha is to give. No matter what you have, like you don't have to have some billions of rupees or dollars, but whatever you have, you give to whomever, like to the people who are in need. That's what I've seen all these 20 years. And even in the beginning, like the reason for me to be working in Maranatha is Anu and Ron, who as a students, they used to help me with pocket money in college. And that's a very, strange thing, like a student helping another student who are also independent, not so much help from their parents, and helping me. And that one continued as I worked in Maranatha. I see a lot of people giving what they have, from what they have to the people who are in need. And I started doing that. I'm happy that in whatever way I could, that really helped me to realize that we need to give.
Well, you three have given so much to Maranatha and to so many volunteers, and we're just so happy that you have been able to represent us to so many thousands of volunteers over the years, and we thank you for being with us today on Inside Missions.
Thank you, Dustin.